Gail. It's great, isn't it? Here we are on our podcast again for business owners. So I thought I'd just kick off. How have you seen the last week for you?
Well, hello, Phil. It's nice to be here and it's nice to do this. It's been a mixed bag. There's a lot of people coming to the end of furlough as we're approaching September. A lot of people have been made redundant. I have an influx of sales and marketing people, business development people that are looking to branch out on their own. And also it's a great way for companies to build themselves with sales. I think now more than ever we need salespeople. It's been a mixed bag of companies, smaller companies having to shut shop, I guess, and a lot of businesses have folded, and then you've got the mix of other businesses that have been thriving and that have really adapted to working from home. It's been a really mixed bag, Phil. How have you seen it?
Yeah, I think probably similar to you, Gail, as well. It is a mixed bag. I think, there are winners and losers at the moment. And as sad as that's to say, that is the case. And I think what's interesting, what you spoke about in sales there, I think there are a number of companies now that are looking for really good salespeople to kickstart where they're going. I also think, from our own perspective, we're seeing a lot more companies outsource their sales because they're needing that push start for their existing sales team. So I am seeing that. I think there are notable sectors where we are seeing problems. I think aviation is obvious one that's there. Mm-hmm. The whole thing from the retail through to the supply chain there as well. But I think as well, Gail, I think that the thing that I'm starting to see now is people are obviously through yourself are applying for jobs and looking for jobs. But I also think now as people are coming out of furlough and a number of people have been made redundant after furlough, I think now there's that new breed of entrepreneur. There's people going, do you know what? I'm just going to start on my own. So I think that's coming through now. And I think an interesting thing there, and I'd really welcome your views, is, when you're starting out on your own, how do you market yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100% agree with you, Phil. And I think we are going to see a massive trend of people branching out and taking that plunge to be an entrepreneur. And yes, it's a scary thing, but we've just gone through a massive, scary pandemic where people have had to adjust. So I think it might boost the economy in terms of people will see things, and people are valuing quality of life, the work-life balance, and being an entrepreneur, you can do that. Yes, massively, marketing is going to be the key. At the end of the day, you've got yourself, you've got your brand, you've got your product, whatever that may be. But then you think to yourself, how am I going to get it out there? How am I going to let people know about me? My biggest one is LinkedIn. I've spent we've discussed this before, many years developing that. And it does put you out there, marketing yourself, I suppose, well, and being the best version of yourself in terms of your brand, how you look on profile, what your headshot looks like, that tells a lot about you. So there's a massive market in that, and LinkedIn even now isn't being utilised by companies large and small as much as it could be, really. So I've turned into a LinkedIn advocate, Phil, but it is a powerful tool, and the whole social media thing is, look at how social media's been. We'd have been lost in COVID without technology, social media, telly. It's had an impact on people being in contact with other people, online Zoom calls, for example. It's been a massive thing. So to not utilise social media, you've got to, basically, I think is what I'm trying to say. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think social media is there, and I think if you're very much in a B2B setting, I think LinkedIn is a definite yes. And I think I think people now can become a little bit more savvy on what their LinkedIn profiles look like, and make sure they've got decent photos, make sure they've got decent headlines, make sure they've got a decent URL that's there, it's personalized. But start to use LinkedIn in a proper fashion. And I think probably what I've seen with LinkedIn over the last probably 18 months, it became a little bit Wild West. But I actually think now people are becoming more savvy to it, both those connecting and those receiving connection requests. So I think in terms of that, you can build your brand around it. But I also think as well, and I think is something you're really strong with, is people now will look at different social media platforms for their information. So people will use Facebook and they'll use special interest groups that are not about hobbies. It's about the professions they're in. Some people will use Twitter as a source of information in the sectors they're in, and others, of course, will use LinkedIn. But I think if it was me starting out again and had this great opportunity, there is so much free marketing there. And it's the most important thing is to make sure you can get that free marketing right. You know, so for me, it's like, make sure you can spend allocated time on social media, make sure you connect in the right sectors and you connect with the right people. And if you are going to make a comment, make sure it's an informed comment. I still think a number of people are using LinkedIn as if it was Facebook in a very sort of matey way. And I think that has a place, but it's actually a professional forum. So I think for me, make sure you're professional, make sure you go through there. And again, I think something you'd probably want to add on is using video, is how you can use video successfully on LinkedIn or even on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. I know you're really strong on those. So I'd be interested if someone was going, right, I'm going to go out on my own, I'm going to be whatever I'm going to be that I've got great expertise in. What would one or two of your tips be, maybe using video?
Yeah, absolutely, Phil. And it was something, it was the scariest thing ever. The COVID thing threw me into it, but I thought, how am I going to get my message across? Everybody is audio now. I actually was a bit of a techno geek, and I don't mind saying that. And I actually Googled some figures that 92% of what people look at is visual. Not many people read things, or some people do take the time to read articles if you need some information, but it's pictures, it's videos. You look at any marketing strategy out there, from Richard Branson to anybody really, and it's all visual. And I thought the best way to get the message across and keep it real. People don't know me in the business circle from Adam, and it's kind of keeping it real, keeping it personal. And I looked at a lot of videos on LinkedIn to do my homework and see what everybody else was doing out there. I wanted to stand out a little bit, and I found that in the corporate world, a lot of people are very, it's hi, I'm so-and-so and I'm selling this, and it's not what it's about. It's about keeping it real. People buy from people. So I thought the best way was to, in my professional forum, keep it real and be honest and pass on some knowledge, some wisdom, and just kind of go for it and not worry too much or overthink it. If you've got a message to say it. You can learn how best to do it. I mean, if you look back on my first video that I posted, the second week in COVID, I was very rigid, because it was a scary thing. And then as I relaxed into it, and that's when you get the traction of people. It's more relatable. I think in the business world, keep it professional. It's not Facebook, it's not Instagram where you're wanting to find out what people do on a weekend. Keep it friendly, you can, be smiley and genuine. But the key is to be a real person. And I think that's why I've had quite a lot of success, is that I've been relatable. I've been working from home like everybody else and had to adapt. So I think the tips would be, keep it short and sweet. Just go out there and just make it real. Do your homework. Find out what you want. What's the message you want to get across? Sit down and really sort of think about what you want to say. Try not to script it, although that is obviously quite a hard thing to do. Now I just speak into the camera. None of it's scripted. It's just, but there again, it doesn't matter if I say a few ums and ums and a few etceteras here and there, because that's me and that's how I speak. But just keep it real, I think is the main thing, and just do it. Audio is the biggest key. You wouldn't switch your telly on and not have anything to look at. As humans, we are very visual. So videos on LinkedIn, massive key. So What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, video is king, audio is king, but I think it's about content. So I think as well, I think, you know, I'm old enough that when newspapers used to get printed, a lot of people said, well, whatever's on the front page one day, the next day it'll be just the fish and chip wrapping paper. And I think that's true. So you can make a mistake with your video. It doesn't have to be BBC or ITV quality. It just has to have good content. And, you know, I know that that's what we're aiming for. We're hoping that when people come in and they're listening to us as a podcast or watching us here as a video, they take something away from it. And I think it's just being who you are. So I think you're right. Just do it, have a go at doing it, and use content wherever you can. I think maybe just for me, and another tip is using LinkedIn is just make sure you're engaging, make sure you've got posts that have got bit of white space there, and you know, you use it in some way. You don't have to cram everything into a sentence. You know, you can start to engage a little bit more with your audience. But probably for me, the number one thing I would say, and it's something I'm passionate about, is when you're on LinkedIn, don't bother selling, because as you said, Gail, it's about creating relationships. If people build a relationship with you, ultimately, if you've got the right products, goods, products, services, and they want it, they'll be in touch with you. But just don't go and sell to people, because you'll turn them off straight away. And that's not what LinkedIn is. So I think, you know, for me, that's a definite tip. Do not sell on LinkedIn.
Yeah, 100% there. Actually, it's a really massive point. I think I've gained my traction with people was because, you know, we're keeping it real. It's at the end of the day, I'm not going to make anybody use my recruitment services. There's a million companies out there. It's literally, it's building that rapport and getting yourself out there. So yeah, totally 100% agree with that.
So I think maybe sort of one thing we can just finish up on really is we've spoken about, you know, the highs and lows at the moment, and yes, we're in unprecedented times. We've also now spoken a little bit about how people can get out there and they can use the social media platforms, and I think that's a really good thing. And I think if people are venturing out there, just have a go, be who you are, be natural, and I think that's there. But I also just think that the last thing I would tap on in that is not just the person who's rolling up the sleeves saying, I'm going to go and do something on my own, I'll be self-employed and I can sell my services. I also think it's the business owner, it's the salesperson, it's whoever is in a company. They have not a right, but actually they should look to promote themselves because they're a reflection on their company as well. And I think that's probably, to me, would be one of the things, if you're watching this now, is start to do that from today, is to push yourself out as you as a brand, representing your company as a brand.
Exactly. Yeah, totally, 100%. That's really good advice.
So I think, you know, we've had a great time again, Gail. It's always great when we're doing these. And again, you know, we're just trying to be natural here, and we're trying to go there. And I know we've got 2 or 3 people lined up in the next few weeks as well. And we're going to bring them in as well, which is fantastic. But also, if you're watching this, do follow me, do follow Gail. You'll see on the bottom as well, you'll see our LinkedIn profile. So just connect with us there. Ask any questions you want as well. And we're really just going to build this brand, and we just want to engage with business owners, be they people who are sole traders, who are just starting out, or those people who are still at the head of their business, multi-million-pound businesses, and driving them through. But, you know, we just want to keep it real and be there. So do get in touch with me, and do get in touch with Gail, and really hope you've enjoyed this particular episode.
Yeah, I hope so too. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks all. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Take care.